You know, they say it's a dog-eat-dog world. I was just thinking about what that means. What does it mean? You know, the way that we view society, by the way, I'm on the back porch and it's dark, so that's why it's black. Do not adjust your screen. You know, the way that we think of nature, the way that we think of ourselves, the way we think of human nature, the way that we've wanted to view nature is that it's a competition, and that it's get what you can while you can, and that nature is constantly in competition. And every year that view changes. I remember growing up being told that, you know, all the trees and the animals all fight for, not fight, well, as much as just, you know, they compete for space. And as the years went on, I would see more and more interesting animal, just today I was watching these civet cats, and they found that they actually will sit on the back of rhinos, just like birds do on like hippos and whatnot, and rhinos, and they'll hitch a ride. A cat, you know, and it helps them hunt. You know, animals have learned to work together as a team. You know, it's not as competitive as we thought. You know, there's a certain degree of aggression in nature, sure, but it's usually only over serious issues. So anyway, the same thing happened with nature. I found out recently that trees actually feed their young, and it changed my whole perception of nature too. You know, I always suspected as much, but you can't really prove it until you have a bunch of scientists go out in the field and actually like put a bag with the radioactive gas over the tree, follow the radioactive gas back down through the root system and the mycelium, and see how it feeds the network. Not only that, but trees communicate with one another, you know. And when I plant plants, from now on I use mycelium in the soil because it creates a network for the plants, a neural network, you know, it's communication. Everything's just so interconnected. It just amazes me. It amazes me that people still think that it's all random and by chance, because I've tried so hard to be honest with myself and be critical and look at all the issues and say, okay, could this all be random mutation and just evolution as it's stated? I just can't. I can't do it. It doesn't matter. You know, and if that's maybe the airy-fairy side of me wanting to grab onto something, then so be it. That's never going to change, though. That's one thing that, you know, I don't think that science is ever going to find this magic key that all of a sudden I go, aha, okay, that explains how everything just got here by chance. It just doesn't make sense. Nor will I flock to a particular belief system that tries to explain to me what it all is, because my own personal experience with nature has been one of strong communion and understanding. And, you know, I've talked to the weeds, I've talked to the trees, and I'm not talking just me talking to them. You know, I mean, with DMT, I spoke to the plants before. It was an amazing experience, and I'll never forget it. Yeah, everything has a frequency, and you can tap into that frequency. And maybe that's all delusion too, but it just seems to make sense. And damn it, if we aren't trying to just make sense of this fucking crazy world. So, you know, I guess I'm a rational thinker. I consider myself a skeptic. But there are certain things about nature that show me that there's a blueprint behind it all. And I guess I'm more likely to believe it's more like a cosmic wave type thing, you know. I really like the ancient theory about like the Helios and the shield, and how the sun is actually kind of, if you will, we are a byproduct of a reflection off of the sun, as in Helios' shield is the sun, and that the word comes from somewhere else, that, you know, the blueprint or the frequency is merely transmuted or used or transferred by the sun through this electric universe. It's just an amazing thing to ponder. I'll never be satisfied to think that everything can be explained by humans. There's no way. But I'll never be satisfied to think that everything is explainable and we can't, as far as being able to find our, I guess a deeper meaning in life. I can't escape that. It's just something that's been inherent with me since my younger years, and I guess maybe it started with my acid trips. It really got me in touch with nature. It was an amazing experience. I'll never forget my first really heavy trip. I took 3 hits of this stuff called, what was it, Orange Sunshine, I think? I think it was Orange Sunshine. And we went down at this park, and George Rogers in Lake Oswego. And I'm walking down the path and just peeking, and everything's spinning, and I stop, and I see this flower, and I lean down, and I look at it, and everything swirls, all the pistils, all the parts, the components, everything about it just like breaks down into a million pieces, and I understand it. And it was like from that day forward, I was just really fascinated by every component of nature. I mean, of course I was before that too, but I felt like I understood it a little bit better there. And from that time out, ever since then, I guess I've had many revelations. It's like the ether, or whatever it is, this, God or whatever you want to call it, speaking through this energy of life, this photonic life form. Everything's just feeding off of light, and they found our cells communicate using light, which we already knew. The light body's a real thing, and each of us has a spark, and that spark, I guess, is the question, is whether or not that spark is carried on. And then for most people, I had this discussion the other day with somebody, and they're saying how, for me at least, when I see what's the root of what most people want to know, it's not like what happens after I die or before I was born. What they want to know, in a nutshell, is, do I carry my memories with me into the afterlife and remember this life as I was? And that's a very difficult question to answer. Even if you believe in reincarnation, you know that you forgot your past life already. Now think about this. If you do have past lives, wouldn't you be excited to remember your past life and remember that you, that self? It's hard to explain, but I think you know what I mean. It's like waiting to get out. Like if you were to die and then be reincarnated, wouldn't you hope that your future self brings you back out, so to speak? And in a nutshell, that explains to me why this life is really this only life of this life. In other words, even if we reincarnate, this life is really maybe just a little moment in time that, and we think it's so important while we're here, and we want it to be important. Yeah, we got to make it important. I've spent a lot of years, trying to build up an understanding of the world around me, so I can make life as pleasurable as possible, without abusing any of the privileges, and without abusing myself, and definitely not other people. But life's an interesting little moment, isn't it? Each one of us, I know that each one of you wakes up and has these moments of, what is this really all about? I mean, even if a person is religious or an atheist, even at the two extremes, there's always these moments where you look at something and go, holy crap. Yeah. Anyway, with that, I bid you adieu. We'll let the siren play it out.